It's me, Ari Dotson. You can call me Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Listen, a lot of churches keep talking about the love of God. God so loved the world that gave his only begotten Son, so that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. We know that. John 3, verse 16. Okay, we know that. Let's put the love of God aside for a moment. Because you can find sermons about it, YouTube live streams if you go on YouTube. Even outside of the Christian domain, even outside of Christendom, you will have pagans talk about the love of God. I want to address the hatred of the world. The hatred of the world, or the resistance of society. That's a better way to phrase it. That's a more modern way to phrase it, the resistance of society. What is the world, or what is society? Society is this fear-based movement of adults who want to escape. That's all it is. The earth is the plane where we live. The world is a system, which we also call society. The world is resistance. Resistance against what? The will of the Heavenly Father. Now, what is the will of the Heavenly Father? That we, as a human species, magnify His happiness on the earth. That is why we exist, to magnify the happiness of the Heavenly Father on the earth. Through our sexuality, through our social relationships, through the way we manage the earth, through our creativity, through our intelligence, our emotions, we ought to reflect the happiness of the Heavenly Father on the earth. However, this assignment comes with obligations and responsibilities. Fallen mankind does not want any of these responsibilities nor obligations. Fallen mankind just wants to escape and be left alone. They do want benefits, but they want benefits on their terms without any costs. That is fallen mankind. And if they have to pay a cost, they're going to play God because they had to pay. They said, oh, I worked hard, I paid, blah, blah, blah. That's how fallen mankind is. Just because they have to contribute or pay something, a financial fee, they think they have a right to play God because they don't even want to contribute. They just want to take and be left alone. Now, there are people in the world who are decent and admit they need to contribute. But even those people have this escapism on their mind. So, understand the following. Fallen mankind is all about escaping. Yes, that's fallen mankind. It's all about escaping. So, because fallen mankind always wants to escape, they're always fighting against anything that disrupts their ease. So, what is dislike and what is hatred? Hate and dislike are two sides of the same coin. It's simply aversion. Emotional aversion is when you emotionally oppose an outcome. Let's say a friend comes to visit you and he walks in with his shoes on, but you want your carpet to remain clean. So the outcome of him walking with his shoes on in your house, you go against that emotionally. Emotionally, you get anxious and you act out against him doing that. That is hatred. Hatred is when you're upset about something and you do something about it immediately. Dislike is when you are upset, but you kind of, put up with it because you don't see it as an immediate threat, but you simply don't want it to happen. Now, it's aversion. You emotionally oppose a specific outcome. Now, other outcomes you should oppose, well, if your child is playing near the stove, you get upset and you do something about it. Is that hatred? No, it's not hatred. It's just opposition. You oppose emotionally the potential outcome of your child burning himself, burning herself. Or maybe there's a pedophile roaming your streets. Now, even if you have no hatred, no dislike against the individual itself, you can still oppose emotionally what goes on. Now, so emotional opposing things is natural. We should oppose things that are dangerous or I would say things that are contradicting to our long-term well-being. But to linger in opposition, to linger in emotional opposition, that is unnatural. That is toxic. That's what disliking and hating comes down to. You linger in emotional opposition against an outcome. And fallen mankind does not want to embrace life to the full. They do not. They all want a man cave or a woman cave, or they want separation of quote unquote spaces, something that doesn't even exist. The earth is one place in one space owned by the Heavenly Father. The earth is one ecosystem. The earth is one living intelligence. This whole division in spaces, my space, your space, privacy, private lives, boundaries, none of those things exist. Fallen mankind invents all that separation so they can feel like they're entitled to control. Fallen mankind wants to control. They don't want to manage, they want to control. And to pretend as if they're entitled to control, they have all these imaginary spaces. You have all these imaginary restrictions, which we call boundaries, they put everywhere. Some boundaries are organized, others are not, but it comes down to fallen mankind wants to escape. So anytime you as a human being are heading towards embracing life to the full, the others around you will begin to act out against you. They will not flat out attack you physically or whatever, or take your life, but they will make life harder on you, or they will begin to harass you with weird suggestions. That is the hatred of the world. And the hatred of the world is primarily focused against the Heavenly Father. Because the Heavenly Father is the one who established the earth and designed human species in such a way that we ought to be active and present in the right now. Fallen mankind wants to go against their own design. So fallen mankind resents the way the Heavenly Father built us. So fallen mankind is in opposition towards the Heavenly Father. It's only when a human being is born again and renewed in their mind that this enmity towards God is removed out of them. All worldlings develop hatred towards the Heavenly Father. It doesn't have to be this bigotry that some of these Satanists have, saying, who does Jesus think he is? Demanding things from me. I'm my own God, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be like that. It's the simple fact that we want to be left alone and at ease all the time and remain unchallenged. And the fact that life itself is designed in such a way that there will be natural challenges, that alone pisses us off. It does, and that's the unrest fallen mankind carries with them. Every human being that's not born again nor renewed in their mind eventually develops hatred towards the Heavenly Father. And because it's hatred towards God himself, this hatred towards God will be acted out on their fellow human beings. That's why when you look at worldlings, they always have someone they dislike or someone they can't stand. Why? Because this is the unrest inside of them. This unrest should not even exist. They should be embracing life to the full with all obligations or responsibilities and all challenges as God intended it to be. But because fallen mankind operates against their own design, that alone brings unrest. But now they blame the Heavenly Father for the unrest they accumulate within themselves. Now, fallen mankind is fallen, so you can't help it that you are in the sinful state, something you can't do anything about yourself. But you can admit there's something off about you that needs to be dealt with. You cannot rescue nor save yourself, but you can admit that you need rescue and salvation. That the moment you admit that you're realistic about it, truly realistic, from that point on, the Heavenly Father is obliged to assist you into the salvation and deliverance process. Simple as that. But there are human beings who don't want to admit this about themselves, especially on the fact that they can't do anything about it themselves. Fallen men can only cope with their fallen state, but they cannot heal nor fix their fallen state. Only the Heavenly Father can. And this is the part fallen mankind doesn't want to admit. We are designed to be dependent on the Heavenly Father anyway. The whole idea of independence comes from fallen mankind who does not want to admit their natural dependence on the Heavenly Father and their interdependence on their fellow human beings. So the whole idea of independence is delusional. Now, you can be independent from something, but you always depend on something. For example, let's say you're 5 years old. You're fully dependent on your parents. Let's say you turn 18 and you move out of your parents' house. Now you're independent from your parents' finances. You may also be independent from your parents emotionally, but you're still financially dependent on your employer. Or if you have your own business, from your clients or customers. Human beings are always dependent. We all are. We can be independent from certain things, but that doesn't mean that we by ourselves are independent completely. So we have to embrace our dependence, celebrate it, and operate in it. And by doing that, we now are able to receive power from the Heavenly Father in daily life. That's how it's supposed to be. But fallen mankind clings onto violence to have a powerful effect over other people. That's what fallen mankind does. So that alone means that anytime you as a believer come around and you are in agreement with Christ to live life in here and now, there will be actions taken against you. There will be people deciding they want you gone, they want you dead, they want you erased. The hatred of the world is something we will experience till the day Jesus Christ comes back. So throughout this lifetime, you will experience the hatred of the world. I'm not saying that every worldling will come against you to do you dirty or whatever. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that all worldlings are operating opposition towards themselves and the Heavenly Father. And it's only when they are renewed in their mind as believers that this backwardness will be out of them. So this narcissism that they talk about in the world, this backwardness, is something everyone develops in the world. Some become full narcissists, that means become full reprobate, others are more moderate. The only way for this to be recovered and fixed inside of us is by doing the will of the Heavenly Father. That's the only way, because we are designed to do the will of the Heavenly Father to begin with. So, the hatred of the world is this delusional persistence in independence that fallen mankind has. So, expect this delusion to be triggered anytime you don't concede to it. If you concede to this delusion of fallen mankind, the public will praise you. They'll carry you on both hands. But it's going to backfire on you, because there's no way you can concede to a delusion and be well off in the long run. It's not going to happen. The moment you choose for yourself that you want to be better and safer, also safer towards other people, the moment you do that, expect retaliation from society. It is going to happen. It is going to happen. It's even written that everyone who will faithfully follow Christ will suffer persecution. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. But we have received instructions from our Father to deal with whatever comes against us, to overcome all of it and to be ahead of all of it. So keep walking by faith, agree with Christ, and remember, Christ never promised you that it all will be easy and a bed of roses, but it promises you it's all worth it, and there's abundance coming for you in this lifetime and the lifetime to come. Be at peace.